Hey everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. If you're not into any of that, just hope you're having a really good time. Wanted to drop this pickup video off of all the games I picked up since my last one, which, as I said in the kind of console hardware one, it's been about 8 months, 9 months, something like that. I do have a few things left that I'm probably going to make in one more video before the New Year's, and that's because I'm also going to give some stuff away. Now, I won't be able to ship that stuff out for a little while, but I kind of came to the conclusion I want to trim my PlayStation 4 library down by about 40%. A lot of the games aren't really worth selling unless you bundle 5 or 6 together, and I don't really want to mess with that or eBay. So for me, it'd be better just to give some stuff away. So I'm going to kick it off with a few titles I already have in mind. And what I want to do is each quarter play through a few games and make the selections of which ones I'm going to keep, which ones I want to get rid of, have a giveaway video, and at the end of the year, whichever ones have not been claimed each quarter, I'll just have a big one. If any of those are left, I'll go ahead and just give them away to a charity store. I also want to pare down my limited run stuff. Those are such easy impulse buys. I go online, I look at reviews, and a lot of times they come out on console or PC first, and the Steam reviews are generally much higher than console for some reason. And in my head, they're normally like $30 to $40. And if I end up liking the game, then it's a really good deal. If not, the shortest one I think is like 2 hours. But most are 6 to 8. And 6 to 8 hours of something I enjoy for $30 to $40 isn't really bad to me. But for those, I'm probably going to get a friend to help me sell them. He's really big on eBay, and I just can't stand messing with it. So I'll just have to collect the cards or postcards with the game after I play them and, give him some bubble wrap, and he can package them up and sell it. And, as minus whatever fees he has to pay, we'll just split it somehow. I got to work out a percentage with him. I know he's interested because he's bored, and I really want to trim some of this down. A lot of what you see is going to be limited run kind of stuff and modern stuff. That's because eBay started charging tax, and you think you want to collect retro console games until you're paying like 11%. It is harsh. This time around, I didn't have many foreign pickups either. I do have some coming, and that's probably why I'll make one more video just as a, post-holiday, pre-New Year thing. But yeah, foreign pickups really dried off after the first few months of the year. But I'll start with a few game-ish things, some movies I got in. Severin had a Black Friday sale. This came the day I made the video, which is The Color of Space, narrated by Richard Stanley, who just directed the new adaptation of it. This is actually a cassette. It was just for Black Friday, or I think it's been a general release, but this was for Black Friday. It was launched on. And this also came in. This was a Black Friday special. It's called The Tales of the Uncanny. It started as a special feature on, I believe, Theater of the Bizarre, where the filmmakers talked to a few people about horror anthologies. Cornmuffin X had a great video years back about his favorite anthologies, and they talk about every single one in this. Unfortunately, some of the really interesting people, and those who have a lot of know-how, or I should say not know-how, I guess that's right, and say, such like Mark Gatiss, who works on Sherlock Holmes, Doctor Who, tons of stuff. He's in here, but he just talks a bit about the Amicus films, and he brings up Tales of the Unexpected and things like that, which I've only learned through UK people on YouTube. That's how I found out about a lot of these. They didn't have wide release or any release over here. Like Tales of the Unexpected, Amazon Prime happens to have it. So I watched that and Thriller, all sorts of stuff. But he has just as much time as some random person who wrote, a book about Dario Argento, which could have been down to the connection quality because this is all over Zoom. And what happened was, as they were working on the extra features and then the lockdown occurred, they realized most people who wouldn't be able to make interviews could make time for them. So they just reached out to about 60 people, and you hear from all of them. But, the guy who made Tales from the Hood is on there just for a few minutes, and that's become very influential. He also worked on The Offspring, which is just talked about a little bit. I don't know. The people who are actually in the industry and made these movies should have had more time, but it's fun enough. What's really interesting is you get eerie tales and unusual tales. One's from 1919 and one's from 1939, I believe, or 49. These are anthologies. One's a French-Belgian production. Yeah, that's 1949. And the 1919 is a silent film, and some of the reels have been lost. And it's the first time I believe both have been on home video or available in home. The Black Friday special with this is it comes with a second disc with an Edgar Allan Poe anthology that was not released on video. This is just kind of PSA, if you have a Chromebook, these work with them. I got the original PC Engine Mini that had the controller without the turbo function, which can make it a huge pain for some shooters. But, of course, that one's also compatible with Chromebook. But I wanted to leave that with the PC Engine Mini, and this is for my Chromebook exclusively. And these work great. So does the Genesis Mini and the PlayStation Classic. And it makes those games feel so much more authentic. Even though it's simulation, those controllers, to me, are close enough to the original, and they just look great. And that's only like $20 on Amazon Japan. Moving on, kind of retro, but a new release. I picked up the limited run release of Monkey Island. I never bought this for the Sega CD, so I've never actually played it for the Sega CD. So this is a first chance try here. I really just wanted to see what their Genesis cases would look like, and just how their re-release games would be. So it was this in Rebel Assault, and I've played Rebel Assault for PC, so I skipped it. Monkey Island, I did play a little for PC, enjoyed it, but I never played this version, like I said, so I thought it'd be worth a shot. Let's see. Columbus Circle released another re-release. That's a bit repetitive there. They put out another re-release, and this is Mad Stalker. The Genesis version was nearing completion, or pretty much complete, and so they found the ROM and preed it up and released it. Now, typical of Columbus Circle, the packaging and stuff is okay. I wish they put a little more effort into it or a little extra time. There are so many other companies that would have done this release, justice. There's no sort of like history of the series, which, I have the X6800 version and the TurboGrafx CD version. But there was also a PlayStation version that's pretty different than the rest. This is actually a very solid port. It's a lot of fun to try it on the Genesis. But yeah, almost any other company, I imagine, would have put more effort into this. And, had a little history of the series in the book. Because the people in it and it became influential. And that it uses a Street Fighter-style control mechanism that was seen later in the Dungeons & Dragons games by Capcom and Guardian Heroes, all sorts of stuff. And this is the first game I know of that used it, and it uses it very well. Like, you can do a dragon punch for the robot to take out its gun. There's an uppercut. There's a charge uppercut. There's all sorts of fun abilities. So even when the encounters themselves can get a little repetitive, the mechanics are always enjoyable. But yeah, this is very bare bones, and like the paper doesn't really fit behind the plastic. It slides out some. And this is so drab. Look at this. This is a first-time release on the Sega Genesis, and this is the fanfare. It's just dark, few little screens, and that's it. This was also supposed to come with some sort of wallpaper or something, but Amazon Japan never gives me the digital extras. From Wayo Records, it's a French company. They put out Metal Slug 3 original soundtrack, and I really bought it to get this. It is a piece of art that's signed by an SNK artist. Unfortunately, my credit card was stolen right after I bought this. I contacted them, and they said they use a third-party vendor who's had no complaints. It was, I don't know, it could have been stolen years ago through one of the PSN or Xbox hacks or whatever, but just seemed very coincidental. But nevertheless, this was a really cool piece of signed art. The re-release, or the 2019 Samurai Showdown had a really cool signed piece of art, but the Samurai Showdown original album release had a terrible piece of it's not even art, it's a logo, and someone signed it. So, I mean, it's better than nothing, but compared to this is awesome. These were limited to 200 or 500, something like that. Next up, this I didn't know had a translation until just recently, and I forgot how to pronounce it. It is a kind of like an adventure game, and I thought it was like a romance sim, which it kind of makes the appearance to be, but Hardcore Gaming said the storyline is actually very interesting, and it veers off. It's kind of ostensibly like, not relationship necessarily, but I guess in the loosest sense of its people kind of becoming friends and interacting with one another, but then the story kind of takes, like I said, takes off to the left, and some weird encounters occur, and they said it's just a really good, unexpected storyline. And the last of the, not quite the last, I picked up Rival Schools 2. I got this right as the virus hit. My first order was completely canceled from the Japanese seller. This one, so I wasn't going to bother, but then eBay sent out a coupon. I picked it up with the coupon, and this took like 3 months to get here, and the manual's ripped, so it got bashed around. I might try to replace the manual at some point, but I don't know. It's a fun game. I'm a big fan of the series, and I'm surprised I had never bothered getting that before. Got a little stack behind me. A dangerous tower. Who is it? NG Dev had a sale recently. They put up some games that were listed as damaged, and they were heavily discounted, like heavily discounted. I think $20 each was Last Hope and Fast Striker, so 2 Dreamcast shooters. Now, to be honest, I do not know what's wrong with them. If you look, there is no damage on the manual. The manual's not creased or bent. I saw no sun fading. I have no idea what's wrong with them. I emailed them and asked if maybe it was a mistake. And the guy said, well, sometimes the differences are really, really minor, but they think it would matter to a collector, and they just didn't want to take the chance of upsetting someone. So they list them as damaged. But I actually see absolutely nothing wrong with either one of these. So, hooray me. Next up, we got the Dreamcast version of the Xeno Crisis. I've mentioned this several times in the past because I have the Genesis version, and I've already pre-ordered the MVS version. I absolutely love this game. I was never a fan of twin-stick shooters until this one. The rolling mechanic with the ability to dodge is such a huge addition. The limited ammo count makes it interesting. The upgradability for your character's abilities adds a nice layer of strategy. It's just a very well-made game. Big fan of this, and had to get it on Dreamcast. It came with some extras, I guess because I bought it at the time of release, because whenever they had the Kickstarter, you could add a few dollars to get this version. And so I messaged the studio, and they said, yeah, I think it was $20 or $30, and we'll throw in the Dreamcast version. Because at the time, I don't think they had even started on it. So, super happy about that. And this is, having just said that, it might come as a surprise that I had no idea this existed, which is the PS Vita version of Xeno Crisis. PlayAsia put this out, and I didn't know about it until it had already sold out. So I had to go to eBay on this. I paid probably $20. I think it came out at $40. I paid about $60. They can go higher or lower. It's just, it fluctuates heavily. The seller, the game looked ripped, and so I messaged him, and he said that's just a reflection of the camera on the light, because he said the packaging was wrinkled up, which I think he's talking about where it's glued right here, or where it's sealed shut. But yeah, this is perfectly fine. This is, I think, the last Vita game I'm going to get. Kind of sad, but it's going out on a very high note. Let's see here. Now, let's head to the PlayStation 4. I'll start with the kind of limited editions and stuff like that first. First up is King of Fighters 98 limited run games put out their... now, this isn't quite... shock boxes are MVS. I forgot what the AES cases are called. Snap cases? Something like that. They're not quite the same, but they're still nice. And this is the 98 Dream Match. I think they added rollback netcode recently. And yeah, this is basically like the fan favorite of King of Fighters games. So really happy to get this. It's not even fitting in frame. This thing is so big. Ugh. But not to be beat, I bought Pixin Love's Samurai Showdown collection. This is more like a traditional AES case. You'll see here. And it just so happened that as I got this, the Epic Game Store announced that the collection would be free if you registered for the first day or first week it was out. So before this even came in, I had already registered on PC. It launched before I got this in, and I've been playing it on PC, so haven't cracked this one open yet. This is the PS4 version. Actually a bit heavy. And I didn't know this was going to be nearly as big. And it's a similar case, so I picked up the Streets of Rage 4 Collector's Edition. Or I guess this is the limited one. The Collector's had a statue and stuff. Before I even got this, it was released on the Xbox Game Pass. But still happy to have it. This is the PS4 version. I don't know why I thought it was going to be smaller, because of course it has to fit a PS4 case in here. But when I got it in, I was really surprised. This is just this is sizable. It's a chunky boy right there. During one of the mini lockdown dash Black Friday, I mean, those Black Friday sales started like 2 weeks early anyway. I don't know what you would want to call it, but there was I don't know if this was Best Buy or a random store, but they had dropped it to $20. It was Neo 2, and I really bought the special edition because it comes with all the DLC. And I'm terrible at Souls games. I know I mentioned I beat Demon Souls, or I was going to in my last video, but I'm really not good at them. I think RetroCore X said that he kind of loses patience with them. And to be honest, despite owning all the Souls games, I have too, and that was the first one I beat. And that was just because I found an area that I could grind a lot of Souls, and I just spent hours. I put some kind of podcast or YouTube videos on, and I would just spend a couple of hours grinding in this one spot, and I was able to level like 10 or 11 times, and that was the only way I beat that game. But I wanted to give this series another shot, and I figured $20 with all DLC, it's hard to beat that. Another sale was The Last of Us 2 Special Edition. It comes with DLC and a steelbook. This was $39 or $35 on Best Buy's Black Friday. I'm a huge fan of the first one. I know that one's kind of polarizing, but I don't care. I'm going to play it. I can't say no to that. I enjoyed the first one so much. This was, of course, not on sale. I just happened to get it when it came out. The Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am going to play that very soon. If you've watched my last few videos, you know I haven't been able to play a whole lot because of if you haven't heard, I had 2 hurricanes hit here, so I had that. I was living out of hotels for about a month. We didn't have electricity for or I should say internet. We didn't have electricity for a while, or drinkable water. Electricity came back first, then the drinkable water, and then internet didn't come back for a long time. And the problem was with a lot of games, especially PC games, if it wasn't on Steam, if it was Epic Games or Microsoft Game Pass, even though they say that you can play them offline, you can't. I got completely screwed on a lot of those games. Just could not swing it. So I played some Steam stuff, and I did play some console stuff. My wife had been dominating Animal Crossing on the TV, and I thought I had this great idea. Amazon had some Animal Crossing Switch systems. I bought her one for Christmas, and then the last 2 weeks she hasn't touched the game. I've even kind of brought it up on the sly, like, hey, your taste seems to have changed. And she even caught on at one point. She goes, did you buy me Animal Crossing stuff? So no, don't worry about it. Yeah, you're damn right I did. Not only that, I bought one. It got stuck in Arizona somewhere, and so Amazon sent me a replacement. So under the Christmas tree in the living room, there's an Animal Crossing Switch that I guess is going to be returned, and she can buy whatever else she wants with the money. But I thought I was being a great husband, and instead, as luck would have it, completely whiffed on that one. Another kind of collector's edition is Ikaruga from Nicholas. Now, ordering from them is interesting. Sometimes it's very smooth, sometimes it's not. This took a while to release, but it did, and it comes with this sweet little model. It looks like it's from the Shoot 'em Up collection. I've bought this game so many times over. Don't care. Enjoy it. They did even make a joke about the old IGN cover, or a sticker about frothing demand. But I've got this so many times over, like I said. The model really interested me, though. We'll have to set it up with the rest of them. This was really a purchase due to Devil May Pi really enjoying this, and Emperor Fox enjoying it, and that is 13 Sentinels. I really didn't put much thought into this, to be honest. I completely missed out when it got released, and this version sold out that I could find on Amazon and GameStop, so this is an eBay purchase. My cat is now clawing me. I don't know what's going on back there. I was lucky enough to find this one. The person took a really low offer on it, and here she comes. And it has the book and everything with it, but they've just been raving about this, and I'm pretty interested to give this a shot. It's like a action-adventure game, an adventure in the old-style sense of like choosing dialogue options and stuff with multiple endings. Oops. One game I've been playing, one game I beat is Rogue Squadron. Star Wars Squadrons, I should say. People were mad it wasn't Rogue Squadron. This is awesome. You know what? If you grew up with X-Wing and TIE Fighter, I think you appreciate this much more. It's got the same kind of energy management. It's got some great missions. You play from both perspectives as a Rebel and an Imperial. I play with PSVR. Now, I know PSVR is like the lowest rung of VR, but it still was awesome in this. To look around and see, the back of your cockpit is amazing. To go by a Star Destroyer and you can see the nooks and crannies. And I played probably half the game in VR. I had to put it up at some point because it just got in the way in the living room. But this is awesome. I think it looks great. They've added a bunch of options since release. You can play against bots, which is very rare in games these days. They used to be very common in PC games, but you can do fleet combat where once you're done with the storyline, you can just, fight against the AI with fleet versus fleet. There's a kind of a dynamic online component where they're always putting new challenges and unlocks up. Just an absolute blast. I don't really have that many complaints, especially because it released at a budget price. I think of $29.99 and now it's already $20. Absolute ball with this. It's everything I wanted it to be. I do wish it was a little longer. Oh, the one thing I wanted is if you play TIE Fighter, there's this great side story you can do where you do personal missions for the Emperor. I really wish they had something like that where there were side story mechanics where you could kind of choose which path you wanted to be on. But it took a different approach. Well, there she is. With the dual storylines, but still, it's a lot of fun. So, very happy with that one. What I'm currently playing now is Ghost of Sushima. This is very satisfying in that it is so close to everything I wanted in an open world game because I love 1960 samurai movies, and they actually use actors in here, and I want it so bad for, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Toshiro Mifune to be in it. If you haven't seen him, he's in Yojimbo, Sanjuro, Seven Samurai, the Samurai Trilogy. He would be perfect in this game. They even have a Kurosawa filter where it turns the game black and white with some film grain. Oh, it would have been so great. Oh, dang it. It would have been so great if they got his likeness. Scooch. And it's a shame they didn't. But the game so far has been a lot of fun, mainly because of the combat mechanics. You can parry, you can block, you can do... oh, man. I'm very distracted by her right now. You can parry, block, unlock new stances, and new stances are better against different weapon types. There's both an open world and kind of contained storyline, so you can go around and do stuff, but there's so many side missions to do that you're never just going to feel lost. I know that's one complaint people have about Ubisoft games, is that there's just thousands of icons on the map and you don't know what to do. Now, I love those games. This new batch of them, people are kind of getting tired of. I'm still all on board with that. I beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Origins. I'm about to play Far Cry 5. But Odyssey is one I'll be giving away because the DLC is still expensive on that, even when it's on sale. So I'm just going to wait until it drops like a $20 bundle. At that point, it will be cheaper than the DLC is now. So I'll just give the game away and wait till it goes down. But yeah, really enjoying it. It's odd that some of the environments indoors are a little plain. Like the environment, if you're like in a forest or whatever, it looks great. The characters look great. But the actual textures in a building, for some reason, are much lower than the rest. That's the one thing that stood out. But everything else about it's an absolute blast. A limited run double pack is Star Wars Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast. I didn't even know this had come out, but LucasArts or whoever owns them now, Disney, has been putting out the old Star Wars games on console. Now, I knew Pod Racer had come out, but I didn't know these were, and they got pretty good reviews, so I went with the double pack. I played the crap out of these on PC way back when. Really enjoyed those, and they said they transferred pretty well to controller. Now, this is one I'm kind of torn on what to play next after Ghost of Tsushima. I want to play Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy, or 13 Sentinels is tempting, but this is really... I'm seeing a bunch of year-end videos, and there's a lot of praise for Like a Dragon. The thing is, I still have 2.5 of the original Yakuza games to beat. However, this is a new cast, and there's new turn-based combat. So starting with this, I wouldn't really be missing out, but I kind of feel like I should beat the original line before I jump to this one. But everyone has been gushing about this in their top 10 videos. I just watched John Linneman's, and he loved it. It looked great. The humor looked great. It's hard to say no to a Yakuza game. This was on sale, which I've owned, of course, but it was $12 with the DLC, and that's Nier Automata Game of the Year Edition. And I've never bought the DLC for that. And if you buy it now, I think that came out to like $2 more had I not bought it individually. This was about $14, Resident Evil 3. I know that didn't get as much praise as Resident Evil 2, but I'm going to give it a shot. Trails of Cold Steel 4. Here's what's sad. I own these games, and I have yet to start the series, but, again, Devil May Pie and Emperor Fox praised him so much that I'm going to get to him. And by the way, Devil May Pie is back on YouTube. That's pretty cool. He's been gone for a bit, and he was pretty active for a while there for a few years, so it's been great having him back. So nice to see you. I bought this with some credit from IM 8-Bit. They had sold me a game that got damaged in the mail, so they sent me a replacement game, and they gave me a coupon. So I got the Untitled Goose Game. I had been playing that, or my wife had been, on the Game Pass, but unfortunately, they took it off Game Pass, and she really wanted to keep playing it, so I just went ahead and grabbed it. The one Xbox One purchase, Slay the Spire, this was $10, and it had great reviews, so I thought I would give it a shot. It got really, really good reviews, actually. Even some people on Facebook that I talked to that don't really play games enjoyed it. Yeah, of course, though, after I bought it, I saw it's on Game Pass, but whatever. That is a good thing about Xbox games. Telling, I think, SNES Mapper that. They go down in price so fast that if they leave the Game Pass, by the time it does, you can grab the physical copy for like $5 to $10. Like Gears of War 5 keeps going down to $5. That was $10. So if you get your fill of it, you don't really need another copy, but if you feel like you want to play it some more, have a backup, a physical backup, it won't cost you anything. Let's see. We're about to move on to the Switch. Oh, I did want to thank Lady Jane. I should have looked the name up. I'm sorry. She recommended that I use my Ultimate Fighting Board arcade stick on the PS5. I hadn't because I had seen Brooke put out a tweet that they're working on firmware for compatibility, and they want people to enjoy it on the 5 as much as they do on the Series X. And because I couldn't get it to work on the Series X, I had assumed foolishly, don't even bother with the 5. Nope, they were spot on. I still can't get it to work on the Series X, and Arcade Shock has kind of stopped responding. But on the PS5, it was immediate. I jumped into Castlevania Collection, ran without a problem, so really looking forward to playing more with that. Can't believe I hadn't just tried it out on a whim. But let's move on to the Switch. And like I said, I really haven't played much Switch stuff because it had been my wife dominating it, but now I guess I can move on to it because she has just lost all interest in what was a game she played, I'm telling you, non-stop. We could be watching a movie. She could be talking to someone on the phone. She had the Switch in her hands. But I picked up the collector's edition of Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, I was excited for this. I wasn't a huge fan of Part 2, which I did complete. But I had always read that this one was better. However, when this came out, I saw some performance videos, and some of the Switch actually did some of the stuff better than the re-release, so I was surprised at that. I will be jumping onto this soon. Switch games I can really burn through them because I'll keep the console on me, and whenever I get a minute, I'll work through some games. But that's probably one collection in terms of ownership to completion I have the highest ratio of. So even though this is a long one, I'll get through it. All right, some more goodies. This went down to $30 for a little bit. This is the Psycho Shooting Stars Bravo. I bought the import of this, but I had actually packed it away for the Hurricane, and it's now in storage somewhere. I wanted to play it again, and it was like I said, $30, and you got everything in the set. That was off of Amazon. This just came in day before yesterday. Pandering Dragoon. This is in the Saturn case. Pretty neat. They announced a PS4 release of it in this style case. I have not played this at all because I wanted to give it a shot when I got the physical version, so I'll be putting that in soon. I have read that it has improved quite a bit since launch, so I'm trying not to listen to the negative reviews because I understand it did launch in a very rough state, but I'm keeping my hope out that the new updated version is worth it. This is a Kickstarter purchase. It's Wonderful 101. You can tell by the lenticular case. Everything else is the same as the retail release, but I backed this on Kickstarter. Nice to get, and that came in pretty fast. They must have had that planned out thoroughly because there was really, aside from the coronavirus shipping delays, there was no delay on that. Unlike this one adventure game that I've had, I paid for like 5 years ago and they're still working on it. It's a visual novel, actually. I can't believe there's every update. People are going, "How are you still working on this thing?" And it's amazing. At this point, it's almost like they're doing it on purpose, just seeing how long they can stretch out the Kickstarter. This is a shooter, Blackbird. Had not heard of this till Limited Run put it on sale, and it looks like a lot of fun. Really like the art style. Okay, hopefully I can find a way to edit that out. Ease Origin. This was one for my wife. She's actually played through it. Paper Mario, the Origami King. She really enjoyed it. She's a massive fan of the Paper Mario series. This was on sale for $15. Langrisser 1 and 2. This was a Best Buy purchase. You might know Langrisser 1 as Warsong on the Sega Genesis. It's a classic turn-based strategy. And speaking of which, before I continue on with that, I picked up the physical release of Brigandine, a new version that was released on the PlayStation over here. So both of these are kind of, your traditional turn-based strategy games with save the kingdom, kill the bad guy. Brigandine's got a ton of factions, though, way more than Langrisser. Langrisser's older. These are updated versions, but Brigandine's got way more layers to it. It can be almost intimidating at times, or so much, because the unit count just spirals at some points. Some of these aren't that exciting. I'll skip past them. Oh, this was disappointing. So Deadly Premonition 2, I was super excited about, and then it got released, and I watched some video, and yeah, I'm not touching this until they patch it. There was a scene, the guy was getting like 9 frames per second, and how are you going to do that to the series? I know that was part of its thing, is that it was in a rough shape for the 360 and PS3, but there's no excuse for that now. I just patch that. I want to get tucked back in that world, but I'm not going to have my experience ruined because they're lazy. Picked up Blossom Tales from Limited Run, The Sleeping King. Looked like a fun little action-adventure game. Kind of Zelda style. Actually, very, very much like Zelda. Let's see here. Picked up the Super Mario All-Stars. My wife had never played Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine. She did play through Mario Galaxy when it came out. So I'm eager for her to try those. This was $12. Katamari Damacy. I did not know this had come out for the Switch, but it got pretty good reviews. And for $12 on Best Buy, I decided, why not? Darkwood from Super Rare. I had heard this was a really good survival horror game. Some stuff fell over here. This was one I'm very interested in. It's Cadence of Hyrule, from the Necrodancer, or Crypto the Necrodancer kind of developer. Not kind of, but it's that style with Legend of Zelda from the same developer. Sorry, I am trying to rush through this because the cat is acting wild behind me. Picked up the Shoot 'em Up collection from Video Games New York, and they came out, they sent this massive pack of stickers and magnets and all sorts of stuff. They're becoming a really good company. They include box protective shipping by default instead of padded envelopes. And the games never come off the spindle. I don't know what Limited Runs does, but by God, half the games I get from them are off the spindle by the time they reach my house. Oh, here's a little... So I backed Shenmue 3. But I finally got the little Capsule Toy, which is just... it's just a little forklift figure. Yeah. It's neat enough. Let me see if I can get it out. Oh, his head's not attached, but you can see what it looks like. I mean, it's nice. Here's the thing. If this was like 10 years ago, I would have been over the moon at this. So I'm not gonna let Shenmue 3's not quite what I hoped for ness dampen that. It's still a really cool piece. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, Limited Run also sent out the soundtrack. The music's actually really good for this. I was not expecting that. And finally, I have, you know what? I just noticed this in Pandering Dragoon. Damn it. Do you see this? It was common for Saturn games, and I cannot believe they did this too. Look at that. The spine is dented in from the plastic. That is really annoying. Oh. These must be super authentic Saturn cases for that to happen. Damn. Guys, come on. If you knew that was a problem, keep an eye on that. I'm actually emailing about that. Just say in the future, don't pull that shit. And finally, Gunlord DX. If you hadn't heard the story of this, I feel bad. NG Dev put out a newsletter a giant pallet of the games fell over and just broke a ton of them. So they had to kind of start from scratch. It took longer to come in because of that. So they sent some little extras here, like a bookmark and a little art postcard. But yeah, they had a photo of this pallet fall like on the ground. These red cases just sprawled everywhere. You could just, I could feel it for them. They probably walked in, what the hell happened? And there's some guy on the forklift just, your little games fell. And I also have a limited run blind box. I guess I'll open this on the next video because I just been putting it off because the temptation is as much fun as opening it. So I'll put this off for the next one. But that's finally it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll have some pretty nice stuff to give away next video, something that might entice a couple of you. And like I said, be safe out there. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. You know, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't, I hope you have a great time and you're able to enjoy this yourself in this shitty year. And I will talk to everyone later.